Do y'all think the U.S. sucks at football? Cause we finna see. We finna react to why the U.S. sucks at football. And me personally, this is disrespectful, man. I'm finna get me and my squad, me and my group, and we finna train. We finna take over the World Cup, bro. Cause this right here is disrespectful, man. We don't suck, bro. We don't suck. But nah, welcome back to another reaction video chat. Today we're reacting to why the US sucks at football. Honestly, I don't know why we suck. I know the women's team is pretty good, but other than that, I really don't know. I feel like we just don't really play it that much, honestly. And we focus on other stuff like football is almost damn near year round. Basketball is year round. It's a lot of baseball year round. So I mean, it's not really time for soccer. That's personally just what I think. But before we get started, if it's your first time here, this channel is here to help me learn more about the game of soccer and to help me get ingrained into the culture chat. So if you guys want to join the journey, make sure I hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, and let's get into it. Here we go, chat.
United States and football
That looks fun.
Then what are we doing? What's the point?
Hey, I hate soccer.
You do?
Yeah.
I can't stand soccer. I think that it's the least talented sport on earth.
It doesn't care.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Americans, bro, we do be pissing on the sport, bro. I ain't gonna lie, we do be pissing on soccer. That's part of the reason why I kind of like wanted to just give it a try myself, honestly. But bro, I literally can count on one hand the amount of people that I know that played the sport of soccer, like literally.
Does not understand the football culture shared by so much of the rest of the world. And if you've ever wanted to know why, then this video is the one to watch, because by the end you will understand football in America.
Real
and
Americans
how it
hate
has finally
soccer.
started to change. An important part of that fact, though, is that I'm not English. I'm American, actually. I grew up in American football culture. Or
Chat, look at
soccer,
this,
as we
bro.
call it. American, actually.
Look at this.
I grew up in
It's just something about a U.S. crowd versus a crowd from another country, bro. It just looks like this looks bland. Like it doesn't look like, bro. I don't know. I can't explain it, but look at this,
American football culture, or
and then look at this. Like it just looks like it's night and day difference, bro. I just feel like I have more fun here than, I don't know. It's just my opinion, bro.
as we call it. Through years of traveling around the world to make football videos, I have a unique perspective on how the football culture works inside the United States and how it contrasts to the one outside of it. You see, the American sporting
See, now this looks
inside the
looks a
United
little
States
bit more
contrasts
fun. It looks a little bit more fun right here. I can't lie. A little bit more fun.
to the one outside of it. You
But
see,
still, it still looks bland though. I can't
on how
I can't
football
explain
culture
it.
works inside the United States and how it
It
contrasts
still it looks fun, but it still looks bland.
the
I don't
one
know.
outside of it. You see, the American sporting infrastructure is constructed differently than basically any other country in the world. Those leagues we spend all the time watching are made up of franchises in closed league systems, and they operate as businesses. The vast majority of those franchises did not start as local sporting clubs or small local entities that eventually naturally expanded into large sporting brands, like
Got you.
Arsenal, for example. It was founded by the workers at the Royal Arsenal complex, and eventually, through a long winding tale,
That is fire. That is fire. I like how soccer has a lot of sports teams that was founded by like the workers. Like that's nice. Instead of it being founded by like money already. You get what I'm saying?
events became a massive sports club. And the lack of that structure in the United States means there's a lack of traditional ties to the community that would be familiar to people that grew up in a football culture. Now, that doesn't mean that the franchises don't have deep roots in their community. I grew up in Tampa, and I am a huge Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Tampa Bay Rays fan. What I'm talking about here is something like an academy. There is no academy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to eventually develop some local lads to go on and one day play for their favorite NFL team.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I feel like the closest thing, especially to football, it isn't, bro. You got to go to college. You got to play, and if you don't make it, you got like the little like semi-pro teams, but it's nothing like. Okay, so say you drafted by the Bucks, right? You just do training camp, like that's it. You're not performing. You're not playing at their like development team, like a NBA, like how the NBA has G leagues. But still, it's not the same as them picking up Messi when he was really young, and he's been training with them since he was young. You know what I mean? That was already professional and done with college and stuff like that, and then they go to the G League or play overseas or something like that.
This is a result of the way sports developed in the United States. Now, it did develop at the same time as England or France, for example, but it came up around a different social pillar. While football clubs in those countries were found around different factories or town identities in the United States, sports congregated around something that was already all over the place: the local universities and colleges that blanketed the country. Leagues like the NFL,
Bro, it's different. It's crazy to see how far the sport has came, bro. Because look at this. I mean, you can see the lines on there a little bit, but bro, the crowd is deep, though. I can say that the crowd is deep.
Universities and colleges that blanketed the country. Leagues like the NFL or the NBA were actually formed well after college sports was already a huge attraction in America, so they were built on top of the existing infrastructure.
I did not know
That's
that.
where the draft
I didn't know
from.
that.
This concept of university players that can no longer play at their university being then drafted into the professional leagues, and it is completely foreign to people that are used to having academies developing their players instead. But it's because those university teams already existed and were hugely popular before the professional leagues ever did.
That makes sense. If the college team existed, I know this UCLA right here. I don't know who this is. Maybe Nebraska, maybe USC, maybe I'm gonna assume USC since this is UCLA. But that makes sense though. A lot of the clubs start and well, it makes sense why soccer doesn't have drafts, because a lot of the teams get players when they're younger and they train them up and stuff like that. But a lot of the American sports teams, college was already a thing. So now they needed something. Okay, what do you do after college? Well, how about we draft them into a professional team? So that makes hella sense. These spikes is crazy on these cleats, bro. These are some crazy spikes. Sheesh.
There was one sport that was so old in the United States that it dodged this. That was baseball, which was founded all the way back in the 1840s and developed a local club system similar to football clubs around the world. And as a result, each professional baseball team has a large minor league system that it uses to develop players, which looks a lot more similar to an academy than any other American sport. By 1870, universities were already competing against each other in what would become American football, and soccer was not adopted by universities as a sport at the top level until 1959 with the modern rules. Dave Litterer, who maintains the USA Soccer History Archive, said that colleges were playing a hybrid, neither fully soccer nor rugby. But it's only a guess. I don't know.
Hey, chat, is soccer and rugby kind of alike? Two different sports, but I see them mentioned together all the time, bro. I see them mentioned together all the time. Are they kind of alike or no?
Does anybody else? Perhaps that is a rather unsatisfying answer in this day and age, but history is not an exact science. Now, he's talking about way back in 1870 when American football and soccer looked
This is crazy.
Way back in 1870 when
look at how he gets under the center. Look at this. Look at how he gets under the center.
American football
He's literally sideways.
Looked a lot more similar than they do now. The truth is, none of those early games played by American universities look like American football, rugby, or soccer the way that those three different sports look today. But eventually the rules of the sport that was played by these university and colleges all over the place were codified and progressed in the direction that would become American football. But what did give the United States continued exposure to the developing rules of soccer was immigration. 25 million Europeans came over to the United States from 1830 to 1930.
That makes sense.
Including 8 million people from the British Isles. As a result, particularly in immigrant communities, the modern rules of soccer were played in a lot of local leagues and clubs. It was actually out of this crop of players that the United States selected its first World Cup.
That made sense. So they came over here and they was like, okay, we finna play this the right way. Okay, that makes hella sense.
Roster for the 1930 World Cup, the first one ever. This team, quite amazingly, managed to reach the World Cup semi-final by beating Belgium and Paraguay before getting smacked by Argentina 6-1, who would go on to lose to eventual champions Uruguay. The tiebreaker from the group stage actually gave the United States a third-place finish, which is still the best finish by any team ever from outside of Europe or South America.
Jeez, third place? That's it? Just third place? Dang. Europe dominates, bro.
Bert Patnaud from Fall River, Massachusetts actually made history. He scored the first ever World Cup hat trick against Paraguay. When the players returned back to the United States,
that's crazy. That's a stat that we can't let go. The Americans scored the first hat trick. We can't let that go. We got to clap it up, bro. Clap it up.
cohesive place for them to play. The size of the United States prevented a national league for developing, and the university preference for American football meant that these players could only practice at local clubs and various leagues that would pop up and then go away as soon as they seemed to appear. And as a result, after a triumphant performance at the 1930 World Cup, the United States would only play in 4 more World Cup matches until 1990. As other footballing cultures around the world were developing league systems and professionalizing their
So
players
basically, we just got left behind, bro. Basically.
to train at a higher level, the United States strategy of just slapping together a team of immigrant or second-generation players from local leagues to go play the World Cup just wasn't working nearly as well. There was also this
And chat, I'm not gonna lie. Americans, we do have, the states do have like a bad habit of throwing teams together. Honestly, we do. Think about it. Let's think about Team USA basketball. Team USA basketball, you have all these foreign teams, these foreign national teams. A lot of these players played together growing up on these teams. So let's just say France. A lot of these teams, a lot of these players that played on France, they grew up playing together. You know what I'm saying? Americans, bro, we didn't grow up playing. We grew up playing against each other for sure. And when the Olympics come around, we just who the best players? Oh, come try out, and then boom, we practice for like however long the Olympics is. That's how much time they got to practice, and that's it. But these other teams, they've been practicing since they was younger. They've been practicing together for a minute. But Team USA, we just throw people together. Okay, y'all go out there, and yeah, we got this amount of week to practice. Y'all go out there and play. So that makes sense. But in soccer, we just got left behind, bro.
Factor, this driving motivation to assimilate into U.S. culture. The rules for association football were viewed as foreign. After all, the United States had its own rules, and it had its own sports. The United States is almost entirely an immigrant nation. Even in the annals of my own personal family history, there are stories of great-grandparents that didn't teach their kids their native language from where they came from because of fear of those kids being ostracized. They wanted them to be able to completely assimilate into society, and speaking another language wouldn't help them do that. It's ironic because now it would be really helpful, but here I am trying to use Rosetta Stone to be able to get back where we started. And with all those cultural and infrastructural factors working against it and no cohesive plan to try and
Is this sand? Is this sand? Why would it be sand right there?
Association football, it just became something that nobody cared about. It is worth mentioning, though, that the United States did beat England at the 1950 World Cup in England's first ever World Cup appearance in Brazil. It's considered one of the
we beat England,
greatest upsets in World Cup history, with the U.S. coach saying before the game that his team were sheep ready to be slaughtered, which is
that is
not
crazy.
A motivation tactic
That is crazy to say, bro. That is crazy. You could believe that you're gonna lose, but bro, you can't come out and say it like no.
Well, England's team was obviously full of professional players. Everybody on the U.S. team had jobs on the side and was still playing in those small clubs and local leagues. It is absolutely
bro, this
hilarious.
is this is how it looks, bro. If I get a group of people together and we play soccer, this is literally how it's gonna look, bro. You're gonna have people standing. You're going to have people standing around, not running to the ball. You're going to have people struggling to get the ball right here. This is literally how it's going to look.
This team was obviously full of professional players.
Look.
Everybody on the U.S. team had
People
jobs
standing
on the side and
around.
was still playing in those small clubs and local leagues. It is absolutely hilarious how unorganized it was compared to today. I mean, the U.S. captain was picked specifically for that game. It was some dude named Ed McIlvaney, who had been born in Scotland, and the reason they gave for picking him as the captain in that match was, well, he was British. The guy actually went on to play for Manchester United, by the way. They called him the Yank from the tail of the bank. And maybe, just maybe, with the idea of the internet and instant communication, this sort of miracle story would have spurned an interest in association football in the United States. The plucky underdogs upsetting favorites England.
But that is crazy though, chat. Like I said, if you like stories, you should watch soccer. You should like soccer. A lot of Americans love like storylines. So I don't understand why they don't like the sport or why they hate on the sport really.
None of that existed. In fact, only one American reporter was in Brazil at all, and it's because he decided that he should cover it on his own. He paid for his own trip to Brazil to cover the tournament. It was clear that the United States had settled into association football as a second-tier sport. And for 40 years, it stayed that way. The U.S. existed entirely outside of the footballing world. It played Super Bowls while the rest of the world was playing World Cups. There was actually one very surprising silver lining that saved loved football in the United States, and that was university sports, actually. And first, this
So college, bro, college is, if we being real, bro, college sports is better than professional sports. Now, I'm not saying it is for soccer, because I haven't watched any college soccer, but in terms of like college football, the way they play, like the games is so much better. It's faster. The games are faster paced. Like
was actually on the
it's
women's
better.
side of the game, thanks to a law colloquially called Title IX. This was a law regarding scholarships for American university and college sports teams. Scholarships being a free ticket to go to school, which can be quite expensive in the United States, in exchange for being a very good athlete playing on one of the sports teams. Well, Title IX said that each college and university had to give out the same number of men's and women's scholarships for sports every year, and it was enacted all the way back in 1972. The problem for schools immediately was all the scholarships given out on the American football teams, because that's a sport that's only been played by men at the university level. So there was no women's team full of scholarship American football players to balance it out. This
Right.
led a ton of universities and colleges to
Chat, I ain't gonna lie. I bet this is North Carolina.
players to balance it out. This led
This is North Carolina. I bet they had some nice soccer uniforms, bro. I bet they had some nice soccer uniforms.
a ton of universities and colleges to jump into creating women's soccer teams, because the teams were pretty large and the facilities were relatively cheap. So you could get a lot of scholarships to help balance out your scholarship inequity. The result was a very large apparatus of identifying and developing talented women's soccer players before really any other country in the world. And by the time the first Women's World Cup was created in 1991,
So dang, were women not playing? Wait, let me go back. Chat.
of identifying and developing talented women's soccer players
Let me go
before
back.
really any other country in the identifying and developing talented women's soccer players before really any other country in the world. And by the time the first Women's World Cup
So they were developing women soccer players for any other women teams in the world. Is that what he's trying to say?
was created in 1991, the United States had created a machine, despite being a non-factor on the men's side that had just qualified for its first World Cup in 50 years. The United States women won the entire tournament. By 1999, the women's national team had become superstars because the United States was good at it. They won the World Cup in a sold-out Rose Bowl in California. Over 1.1 million people
1.1 million is crazy.
attended that 1999 Women's World Cup. The
Wow.
United States was clearly ready to embrace soccer for the first time as long as the team was winning. After all, the United States is a sucker for a spectacle. And it was through star power that the men's side of things got its first jolt, its first false start, when Pele signed for the New York Cosmos in 1975, and him and a couple of other famous footballers from days gone by were selling out American football stadiums because people wanted to watch them play. The star-studded NASL was the United States' first serious attempt at a top-level outdoor professional league. But once the star power departed, the NASL
So they had people coming over to the States to play before they had the MLS league. That's crazy. I did not know that.
quickly folded
That's crazy, bro. It's crazy how you grow up and you just don't learn about sports. That is crazy.
into nothingness. All the while, the grassroots development of American men's players was not kicking on at all. In fact, because of the American football scholarship disparity in Title IX, there are a lot less men's university teams than there are women's university teams. By the time the NASL failed, the American FA knew that it had to do something else, so it launched a wild bid for the 1986 World Cup. And while that bid failed, the United States eventually won the bid for the 1994 Men's World Cup, despite having never qualified for a World Cup past 1950. And it was at that
Chat, do we know how much these bids be? Or the placement of the bids, or however you want to call them. Do we know how much the bids are? Pretty sure it's a bunch of money, bro. Bunch of money.
moment, once again, surprisingly, that university
And it's crazy. I heard that in Atlanta, it's the Mercedes-Benz Dome or something like that. And it's something with FIFA that, long story short, Atlanta has to take the Benz, like they have to change the name of it and all of that because of FIFA rules or something like that. Just look it up. I promise you, it's real.
sports came to the aid of American football. Well, not American football, but like American Association football. I was bound to mess that up eventually. After all, after the NASL disappeared, there was no professional outdoor league. The high amateur level of university soccer on the men's side, as limited as it might be, was the highest level you could play outdoors in the country. The U.S. coach Bob Gansler picked a team of players fresh out of college to try and make it to the 1990 World Cup in preparation for 94, and those players were given small contracts by the American FA so they could train professionally in preparation. Gansler
And when was this? Let me go back. When was this?
1990 World. Gansler picked a team of players fresh out of college to try and make it to the 1990 World Cup.
1990 World Cup.
94, and those players were given small contracts by the American FA so they could train professionally in preparation. Gansler said of his team, many of them were second-generation immigrants. Their parents and family lives different from an apple pie American ideal. They loved a sport that many around them reviled. That last
And that makes sense, though. That makes sense. They're, second gen, and of course they're gonna pick up their family heritage, their family. That makes
we'll come
makes
back to
sense.
later, don't worry. The qualification for 1990 was huge because there were rumors that if the United States couldn't make a decent showing at the 1990 World Cup, that the 94 World Cup might actually be pulled. And it all came down to a final qualifying match that
And chat, I honestly believe it. He said rumors. I believe it, bro. I believe it. We're gonna go off topic a little bit right now. WWE, they were supposed to have their WrestleMania in New Orleans. And I was actually thinking about going, bro. I'm not actually buying a ticket to go, but just hang out, go to like all the festivities around and stuff like that. I was actually thinking about going, but they pulled it and it's back in Las Vegas for the second year. So he said rumors. I honestly do believe that if they didn't perform, they was going to pull it, honestly.
this, Trinidad and Tobago, which hadn't lost at home in 2 years at that point. The National Stadium in Port of Spain was packed, and the United States managed to deliver what was perhaps its most important win ever on the men's side. A stunning strike from Paul Collegiate gave the Americans a 1-0 win.
Shout out Paul.
Caligiuri beats the first man. A left-footed shot.
With the lefty too, the left foot too.
The United States arrived at the 1990 World Cup, its first in 50 years, with a thud, a 5-1 loss against Czechoslovakia. And the next match was against the hosts, Italy, and that match was projected to get wildly out of hand. I mean, why wouldn't it? The United States was essentially a college all-star team with 1 or 2 professionals thrown in for spice and flair against a team that had Baresi, Maldini, Baggio, but in a gutsy performance, some flair against a team that had Baresi, Maldini, Baggio.
Whoa. I can see him pulling that off, though. I can see him pulling that off, honestly.
But in a gutsy performance, the United States only lost 1-0. It was a result so surprising that the host nation fans actually booed their star-studded team off the field. It was also a performance that opened doors for Americans in European leagues in a serious way for the first time, with 10 players from that team in 1990 going on to sign contracts to play professionally in Europe.
Dang, that's good.
John Harkes, the first ever American to play in the Premier League, and recognizable names like Casey Keller. This produced a much more competitive team at the 1994 World Cup for the United States, where it pulled off a shocking upset of Colombia to actually make it to the knockout stages in its home World Cup. And that home World Cup coincided with the founding of MLS, which was the first sustainable professional outdoor league in the United States in 1994.
Wow, I did not know that, bro. What? I swear I did not know it's a league that was formed since 1994. I did not know that, bro. So it was MLS since 1994.
Because MLS was a bit fledgling in its early years, but was able to build itself up by convincing owners to buy into the league instead of individual teams. But it also was designed to appeal to an American public that was used to franchises in closed leagues. I made an entire video about MLS. I'll link you to it at the end of this video, but the point is eventually it developed into a very profitable league structure that could also produce and develop professional players in a way the United States has never been able to do before. But it's still not developing players the same way a club in a normal footballing culture would because of university sports. University men's soccer went from help to get the national team off the ground.
So, Chad, with the MLS, do you have to complete college and then go to the MLS, or can you just be a normal everyday Joe like me and be like, yeah, I'm finna go get good and try out for the MLS? Or do you have to go from being drafted or not drafted? Do you have to go from being in college and then, and also, let's just say this guy right here, he's really good. This guy right here from Tulsa, he's really good. Can Arsenal be like, huh, he's really good. Let me offer him a contract. Pretty sure they can, right?
A hindrance, often forcing young players to choose between multi-year commitments to play at a university or just going pro out of high school at 17 or 18 years of age.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. You can choose. You can choose. Chat, what would y'all do? Because you know you can get paid to play soccer in college right now, too. You can get paid right out of high school to go pro, or you can get paid to go to college. I feel like college, they develop you. But I don't know, though. You're on a professional team. Ah, that's hard.
Not to mention the serious issues caused by a lack of football academies in the United States because MLS, which is a closed system, is only going to have 30 teams in it, which means everybody else has to pay for play in the youth systems that they want to participate in. For example, the travel team I grew up playing in ended at U18 because after that, everybody just got a job or went to college. There was no senior club attached to it that was playing in like the fourth tier of anything. That doesn't exist. But there was and still is a more significant cultural inertia for football to overcome in America. And this brings me back to that comment that the U.S. coach made when he was building his 1990 squad, talking about how the sport was reviled. Now, there are no
Dang, the coach said that? It's crazy.
Here, no quantifiable way to discuss this, but the coach captured a long-held distaste that many Americans felt for soccer when he used the word reviled. Because of how sports and society developed in the United States, as we just talked about, soccer was a foreign sport. It was played by the other. It was un-American. And so the more American you became as an immigrant, the less you played it. And as a result, it became excluded from the American national ideal. When playing American football, for example, and let's say you weren't playing tough enough to the coach's liking, it wouldn't be out of place to hear the coach say something like, "Come on, this isn't soccer, stop flopping around."
Nah, that is crazy. I've never heard that before. I'm not gonna lie. I've never heard that before. Dang. Americans do be pissing on soccer, bro. I can't lie.
United States, we like to think of ourselves as very tough. And American football in particular embodies this. It's a brutally tough sport, and soccer was soft by comparison.
Rip this
This is
jersey
hard to
off.
explain as an American, but we essentially have an inferiority and superiority complex at the same time. We lack the historical precedent and cultural development of many other countries around the world. We know we are rougher around the edges, and as a result, we treat the perceived refinement of these other cultures as a weakness. And that weakness was reflected in the less physical sport that they all played, soccer. And soccer is still now reviled by a portion of the American population for lack
Bro, honestly, bro, watching this video, I can understand how like what do you call how other people from other countries, dislike American soccer or if they don't support American soccer at all, honestly, because look at all the stuff, all the crap that Americans be talking about soccer to now all of a sudden, now that it's profitable a little bit to just come in and you know what I'm saying, and try to impede on the culture.
of a better word, not being a manly enough sport. But that
Is that
perception
Neymar?
is for lack of a better word, not being
Is that Neymar? I need a soundboard. I'll play that Meat Mill. Get up, get up.
being a manly enough sport. But that perception is changing through my generation and the generation before me. First, it was Dempsey and Donovan, then the generation of Pulisic, Adams, and McKinney. We grew up watching the Premier League on TV on Saturday mornings, playing FIFA online with our friends, and learning about the world of football through a screen. And we want that here. Or in the case of our new generation of players, we want to be part of it.
Facts. We wanting it. I'm starting a revolution. We starting a revolution, bro. We need to come up with a name. We need to come up with a name for the squad. We starting a revolution.
Understanding of the rules doesn't exist yet, but recognition of the sport has increased infinitely from that hard-scrabble group of trailblazers back in 1990. To watch the World Cup knockout match against the Netherlands in 2022, I had to wait outside a bar for 2 hours at 6 a.m. just to get inside and watch the game. The
Yeah, that's
2015
dead.
Women's World Cup
That's
final
dead.
was watched by 27 million Americans. That's 10 million more Americans than English people that watched the English women's team win the European Championship in 2022.
Dang.
In a Washington Post poll after the 2022 World Cup, 8% of Americans said that soccer was their favorite sport, just a few percentage points behind baseball and basketball. And among Americans,
I'm not gonna lie. That's gonna be a little hard. I can't lie. I feel like I like soccer a lot, but yeah, I don't think it's over football, I don't think it's over NFL, college football. I don't think it's over college basketball, NBA basketball. I just don't. Now, granted, if I would have played it younger or watched it growing up younger, it could be different. But I just don't. I don't know. Now, if I had to choose between soccer and baseball, that's a toss up. That's something that can, be debated, really. That's something that could really be debated. Which would I choose, soccer or baseball? I don't know. I gotta do some thinking on it.
Americans under 30, soccer had passed baseball in that same poll. So yes, we sucked for a long time, but the reasons why are changing. And even though football in the United States will always look and feel different because of the way it was formed, American football, American Association football, will never be lost in the darkness again. Thank you to Isaiah, our research partner in this piece. And if you want to read or watch any of the sources we used for this entire video, they're all down in the description. If you want to watch that MLS video I was talking about, it's a beginner's guide to MLS.
Chat, should we watch this MLS video or what?
If you enjoyed this video, then please do subscribe.
Facts. Do subscribe. Do subscribe to the channel if you guys enjoyed this video. Also, if you guys want to subscribe to him, his channel will be in the description down below. Honestly, I just feel like we're not good at soccer because we were developed a little bit late. We kind of got left behind. So, chat, do you guys think Americans would ever become great at soccer? Do you guys think America would ever hold up a World Cup championship? Let me know that in the comments down below, chat. If you guys enjoy it, make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next vid.